Christine, how much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out.
Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion.
Okay, this is wild. Without Caitlin Clark on the court, the WNBA is facing a massive financial slump, completely unable to stop its own empire from slipping backward. It feels like they learn nothing about protecting the one player who single-handedly pulled the league from near obscurity into the spotlight. This is the unbelievable story of a league that keeps hurting itself while its biggest star sits sidelined, and how their refusal to face reality is costing them millions with every passing day.
And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlin was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
Look, facts are hard to pin down in this era of staged drama and social media outrage, especially when it comes to sold-out WNBA games without Caitlin Clark. But the harsh reality of the league's dependence on one player exploded into view when Clark was first sidelined on May 24th with a quad injury. Now she is out again with a groin injury, and honestly, no one really knows when she will return. So yes, we are watching a painful repeat of what happened just a few weeks ago.
Quad injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation. But the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it.
Let me break this down for you. Nationally televised WNBA viewership absolutely collapsed by a staggering 55%, dropping from an average of over 1.8 million when Caitlin Clark was playing to roughly 847,000 without her. And it gets worse. Games involving the Indiana Fever themselves suffered a shocking 53% drop in viewers. But here is where the situation turns completely absurd, and by absurd I mean dangerously disastrous for a league that seems unwilling to take responsibility for its own massive mistake.
Clark went down. The WNBA ratings have dropped over 55%
Yikes.
across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
The league is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA, guys.
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th, national TV viewership has plunged since then 55%. Before the injury, the Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury, fewer than 850,000.
So while Caitlin Clark was out there doing what she does best, filling arenas, shattering TV ratings, and generating record-breaking revenue, the WNBA was busy doing what it seems to do best, absolutely nothing to protect its most valuable asset. Somehow it is considered acceptable to allow opponents to repeatedly target a player responsible for a massive 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity, all while brushing it off as just basketball plays. What makes this even more frustrating, and by frustrating I mean deeply infuriating, is that this exact scenario has happened before, yet the league appears incapable of learning from its own history. The WNBA has already watched revenue and viewership collapse after its top player was injured in the past. It is like watching someone touch a hot stove, get burned, then immediately reach for it again while claiming they had no idea it was hot.
News is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark and how they have treated her family.
And hey, if this whole situation feels as wild to you as it does to me, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The financial fallout has been fast and brutal. Fever ticket prices have crashed by a staggering 71%, with some seats dropping from $860 all the way down to $250. The average price for tickets across all of Caitlin Clark's missed games collapsed from $137 to just $80, a jaw-dropping fall that clearly shows who truly drives interest in this league. Remember those games that were moved to larger arenas specifically to handle the massive demand for Clark tickets? Those same arenas are now struggling to fill seats that would have been overflowing if she were playing. Even one of the season's most anticipated matchups, the Chicago Sky vs. Fever rematch, saw ticket prices tumble from $210 to just $95. That game previously drew 2.25 million viewers, making it one of the most watched WNBA games ever. But without Clark, it becomes just another game, and casual fans simply are not tuning in.
What's really concerning about this is the fact that we are only a month into the regular season, and Caitlin Clark has already been out with 2 injuries. With the first one being her having to miss some time with a left quad strain. Now, of course, this is concerning because if you're already on your second injury, you don't want to be that player that is always hurt. Cough, cough, Embiid, cough, cough, Anthony Davis. So I really do hope that the Fever really sits her out right now for a while, only because you don't want her to have more long-term injuries and be more prone.
One of the loudest voices calling out the WNBA for its embarrassing treatment of its biggest star is veteran sports writer Christine Brennan, whose upcoming book on Caitlin Clark and the revolution in women's sports promises to expose the league's major failures. After yet another incident where opponents clearly targeted Clark, Brennan stated plainly that the WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment, and that this is exactly what people are seeing as viewership reaches record levels. Her criticism lands exactly where it hurts. According to league numbers, Clark alone attracts more than half of the league's total television audience. Yet despite that reality, the league still allows her to absorb excessive fouls and cheap shots clearly meant to intimidate their biggest draw. It is like a restaurant owner allowing customers to openly harass the chef whose food is the only reason anyone walks through the door.
Man, bruh. Congratulations to the WNBA. Your ratings are going to drop by 55 to 60% once again. I believe the WNBA have successfully broken Caitlin Clark.
Honestly, the pattern has become painfully obvious. Opponents who seem far more focused on sending a message than actually playing basketball keep hacking at Caitlin Clark nonstop. Here is the wild part. 5 of the league's 30 most blatant flagrant fouls against Clark occurred in 2024 alone, with the Chicago Sky responsible for an outrageous 80% of those incidents if she responds to the physicality she is. Labeled aggressive and problematic if she stays quiet, she is branded soft and weak. The league has created a situation where she cannot win and then refuses to correct it. At the same time, the entire WNBA ecosystem, not just the Fever, continues to suffer severe financial damage. The league was already expected to lose $50 million this season, even after the early Clark-driven boom. Those losses are now spiraling rapidly, with her sidelined as television ratings collapse, merchandise sales slow, and attendance falls straight back to pre-Clark levels.
As big a deal as Tiger was in men's golf, Keith, he did, and when he was gone, it affected the ratings, but nothing like that. And, Michael Jordan being out, maybe a 5 percentage points or something. Nothing like this. You can make a strong case, and I will make that case, and have that there is no one single athlete more important to his or her sport or tour or whatever the circuit is that they play on than Caitlin Clark is to the WNBA.
But here is the truly heartbreaking part of this entire disaster. It never had to happen from the moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto the court. She carried herself like a grounded rookie, constantly praising her teammates and pushing the spotlight away from herself. At just 22 years old, she showed remarkable composure and maturity while facing non-stop criticism. The league was handed a once-in-a-lifetime chance to support her, protect her, and use her popularity to lift the entire sport instead. They allowed ego-driven politics and open jealousy to destroy what should have been a historic celebration of women's basketball, and the fallout from Clark's injuries goes far beyond ticket prices or television numbers. Major corporate sponsors invested millions and are now openly questioning those decisions as Clark-driven momentum fades away. This situation exposes a serious identity crisis within the WNBA. The league appears stuck between chasing viral drama for social media engagement and wanting recognition as a legitimate professional sports business. And here is the reality check: you cannot do both. Real professional leagues safeguard their stars and protect competitive integrity, while drama clubs thrive on chaos, hoping anyone at all is watching.
I don't even know where to begin, man. I hope Caitlin Clark is okay. I want to know when this injury even happened, bro, because let's be serious here. She has the quad injury. Mind you, Caitlin Clark hadn't missed a game since she was like 19 years old, since she was like 18 in college or something. Now she has a groin injury. We've never seen Caitlin Clark play as bad as she played the last 3 games. Let's just be serious here. She's like 1 for 20-something on threes in the last 3. We've never seen her shoot the ball this way. I'll say that. Has she been hurt and playing through this?
The comparison with other professional sports leagues, like I already said, is impossible to ignore and honestly humiliating. Imagine if the NBA allowed players to use cheap shots and dirty tactics to target LeBron James for months while pretending it was just part of competition. That league would shut it down instantly with suspensions handed out before anyone could blink. But the WNBA appears completely comfortable letting this destructive behavior drag on, as if nothing is wrong. It almost feels like they believe any publicity, even the worst kind, is still beneficial because the league refuses to step in and protect Caitlin Clark. A toxic environment has taken hold, and fans are now choosing to skip other games because they no longer believe the competition is fair. When loyal supporters openly admit they will not watch games without the league's biggest star due to a lack of trust in officiating, that is not just a ratings problem, it is a serious credibility crisis that goes far beyond money or viewership numbers.
I admire about Caitlin, she's a warrior. She's tough. You hear me? Bruh, you just don't see players. You don't see female basketball players like her. I'm sorry. I done seen a lot of female basketball players, like I said.
The WNBA has been given chance after chance to course correct, and every single time they've blown it, which only makes this mess even worse. Each incident involving Caitlin Clark should have been a glaring warning sign for the league to step in, set firm standards, and actually prioritize player safety and fair competition. Instead, we keep hearing the same recycled excuses about basketball plays and letting them play. The irony is brutal. Clark's injury, the very outcome the league should have worked to prevent, has ended up exposing her true value to the business more clearly than anything else ever could. A 55% drop in viewership isn't minor. That's catastrophic. And yet, even with numbers screaming the truth, there's little evidence the league has truly learned anything. Officials continue hiding behind buzzwords like competitive balance and physical play, as if dirty hits and cheap shots are somehow necessary for the game. Meanwhile, genuinely dangerous plays against Clark are ignored, while routine basketball moments involving her are suddenly treated like major controversies.
Clean up. I believe the physicality and all this hacking and fouling that goes on. She getting blindsided by Marina Mabry. I think all of this stuff is having a wear and tear and an impact. And all you guys are doing are hurting yourselves, because the numbers are going to drop and drop and drop. And trust me, when it's time for that collective bargaining agreement, they are going to point to this and say, well, how can we give you guys all this money, What happens if she gets hurt?
Look, there's no complicated magic solution. Here, the WNBA has to make some serious choices about the kind of league it truly wants to be if they want to be recognized as a legitimate professional basketball organization. They have to start acting like one. They need to establish crystal clear rules for player safety and enforce them consistently every single time. The actual game itself can no longer be drowned out by endless manufactured controversies. Above all, they have to finally admit that their biggest stars, especially those who fill arenas and drive television ratings, must be protected from trolling and targeted attacks that do nothing but fuel social media drama. The ongoing decline in the WNBA's revenue, attendance, and viewership since Caitlin Clark left is a harsh wake-up call, showing what the league was before her and what it will revert to if they don't radically change course. Without Clark, the league's average viewership this season dropped to a pitiful 555,000, even lower than last year's 670,000. These aren't just numbers, they represent a total return to the pre-Clark era of empty stands and games that only the most diehard fans even bothered to watch.
B-Day, because of the way they play the game, because I love the WNBA, I love the way they play the game. But we really watch it because Caitlin Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She's going for a year or two. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make and generate money?
And the most frustrating part of this entire disaster is that it never had to happen. The WNBA could have used Caitlin Clark's massive popularity to create a rock-solid foundation for long-term growth if their star had been properly protected and promoted. Instead, they built a fragile house of cards that collapses the moment their biggest draw steps off the court. The league will continue cycling through these boom and bust periods, where the presence or absence of a single player decides if anyone pays attention, until they finally learn how to safeguard and truly support the players who actually drive interest in their product. So the big question remains, will the WNBA ever figure out how to protect their most valuable asset, or will they keep repeating this damaging pattern until every opportunity Caitlin Clark has created is wasted? Based on everything we've seen so far, it does not look like the league is suddenly getting any smarter.